All right, my friends. So it is a sudden video I want to do live here. It is 7:11 on the East Coast time, Saturday, rainy night here in Georgia. And the reason I want to do this video is because I just got off the phone with an adjuster, the remediation department of the folks who can fix a house, essentially. So what I had to do is I filed a claim with USAA because I was down in the basement earlier today, and I had thought my daughter had spilled some water all over the place, and there's a big leak on the floor. I was like, man, what the hell? I was like, so I was like down there wiping it up, and then all of a sudden I got a drip on the back of my head. I look up, and sure enough, we have this big bubble and all kinds of water just dripping. So I go upstairs, look under the sink, and sure enough, a washer. It's not even like a washer. It's the rubber, whatever they're called, the washer. I'm drawing a blank, what they're called. But anyway, it had fallen off. That connects the sink to the pipe to keep it all flowing through the pipe. If that makes sense. So it had fallen off, and so I had this pretty significant leak. And so I was like, man, we just filed a claim last year, and I was like, I want to do this. So if you go down the basement, you got some pretty significant leaks down there. You definitely got some remediation that is going to need to be done. You have this little bubbling of water there. It's pretty bad. All right, so I was like, man, how much is it going to cost for my homeowners? Blah blah blah. But it's got to be fixed. You don't know how long the leak has been there. I mean, I was able to stop the leak, but yeah, it's look, it's more than just a ceiling drywall. It's got to go up in there and stuff, and you hope it's not even in the pipe. I don't know. So anyway, I call USAA. Literally, I called them at. I'll show you here real quick. I called them. Oh, I keep doing that. It's 7 o'clock right now, 7:13 Eastern time. I called them at 6. All right, to say, hey, what do I need to do? And it's not a huge damage, but I hope it doesn't raise my premiums. Blah blah blah. They took down some information, Kenzie from USAA, and literally within 20 minutes, I got a call from the adjuster, if that makes sense. Now he's just a guy, almost like the dispatcher, so he's just a guy who takes a call and sends it to the various units, essentially, who are on call to chat with you about when they can come out and look at the damage. All right, so I'm talking to this guy, and we just got a nice guy. We just got to talk, and I said, how do you all get affiliated with USAA to begin with? Because I mean, like, I don't know how it works. He goes, man, you don't even want to know. We got to go through some serious pre-qualifications. It's a big deal. It takes a long time. And USA can drop you like a brick if you're screwing up on their membership. And so we go through, we jump high hurdles to get on the program, and then once we're on, we don't want to get off the program. So they visit us every year. They do a survey for us. They do an evaluation of our clients. They do all this to make sure that we're serving their clients right. And they'll drop us in 2 seconds flat, and someone will eagerly replace us. And he goes, what happens is we want to stay on with USA, and here's why. And this is interesting. I always knew this. I always knew that the contractors that USA uses will contact you quickly, simply because they get paid. But I didn't know how it works. So this guy is telling me, he says, what USA will do is they'll send a check in their first part of their file. All right, so they gather up the file for the members, old Josh, and they said they're going to send this file to the contractor that they're subbing out, essentially, and there's a check in there on the front end for the amount that contractor says is going to cost to fix the problem. So the contractor doesn't have any accounts receivable. Now they can't. It sounds like they can't cash it until it's done, but they know they have the money there, ready to be deposited once the job is done. And he says, I'm telling you, that's worth a big deal, because and I'm putting words in his mouth here, but he goes, some insurance companies, they're not like that at all. You got to file, you got to go with them, you got to complain, you got to contact, because USA, we get paid up front. And they expect good job, they expect good work, and they will make sure it gets done correctly. They'll contact me, the member, see how it went. And if they get enough bad reports from the membership, they're going to drop them. On top of that, if they're too slow, they're going to drop them. On top of that, they do crappy work, they're going to drop them. I actually thought that was pretty interesting. I knew that USA paid quickly. I had a guy who was up when I lived in New Jersey, and he lived right next door, 2 doors down from me. And they had a house that caught fire. And he was working with another company I forgot, I kind of remember what it was, but I won't say. And he said they were fighting these guys back and forth, trying to get the claims. So look, there are people out there who are fighting USA back and forth. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's the way it works. I get that. There's always somebody who's fighting the insurance company, because everyone hates insurance companies, because insurance companies' job is to make sure they don't overpay you, the recipient of the insurance, because then they all go out of business. But I'll never forget this. It was like for his wife's wedding ring or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it's a big issue that was not being remedied. And he was fighting back and forth. And I said, why were you in USAA? He was a veteran. I think he was in Special Forces, actually. And there's lots and lots of people say they're in the Rangers and Special Forces, and 99% of them never were. I get that, but in this case, we got talking to this guy, and he wasn't a guy like, look at me, I was an SF. It wasn't like that. And if you ever wondered about who is really in special ops, they never say, look at me, I'm in special ops. It's never like that. It's always like you talk to them, and you're able to put two and two together. And I think you did more than just special ops. Let's put it that way. But anyway, long story short, he was still had to fight these guys. I said, why aren't you in the USA? He goes, because they raised my premiums a few years back, and he didn't like it, or they're too much. Maybe that's what it was. They're too expensive for what he could get with this insurance company he actually ended up going with. And then he, I mean, like I've heard a lot of times, like when it comes to filing a claim, it's a whole different ball of wax. And so that's with USAA. When it comes to filing a claim, that's when you're in good hands, not who's an Allstate, the good hands guy. He said this with USAA, when you file a claim, the contractors are going to get on you faster than anybody else, because USA pays. That's all there is to it. I'm telling you, I guarantee I can find cheaper insurance. I guarantee. When it comes to filing a claim, though, I want to make sure I'm taken care of. And literally, I mean, I just got off the phone, and look at that, 7:18. I just called them at 6. I called USAA. And within 10 minutes after I got off the horn with USA, we're sitting down eating chow with my wife and kids. I got a call from Gainesville, Georgia. It's like, who the hell is calling from Gainesville, Georgia on a Saturday night? And it was a guy from the contractor with USA. I mean, you just can't beat that. It's awesome. It's awesome. Now, how much is it going to affect my premium? I have no idea. None whatsoever. Will I just go blindly and pay USA $1 million a year? No, I won't, obviously. But when it comes to claims, I've heard this a million times. Now, I will say, I'll never forget this. I had a guy a long time ago. He had a big house, drinking some more of my Walmart peppermint tea, because you do watch the bottom line and you buy the Walmart Great Value brands. It tastes just fine. But anyway, so this guy was, he had a nice big fat house. I think it was in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, a couple million, maybe $1.5 million. And he filed a claim with USA basically for the screen door or something. There was something stupid. I said, wow. I mean, and he was mad that USA raised his premiums. He had like 3 or 4 claims back to back within like 18 months time. I was like, I don't get it, man. These are tiny potato claims. Why don't you just, pay out of pocket? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And that's the whole thing. Again, going back to insurance, the whole thing with health insurance. Insurance should be for, pretty significant expenses like what I think this might be. It shouldn't be for the equivalent of an oil change. That's for sure. All right. So something I want to point out to you, my friends, this is what I learned from this guy. Make sure not only do you change your filters in your AC, your HVAC, and changing the filters is easy. I mean, just literally pull the thing out, put it in there. I think, what do we have? 25 by 10s. I can't remember off the top of my head, but do it once a month. You can buy these things. You get the 3-month, filters, those little air filters. Change those filters every month. Just do it every month. That way, the first month to change your filters. So we have 3 AC units. We got 2 outside, and then we have 1 or 2. No, 2 in the basement, and then we have 1 up in the attic. And so this guy was saying, so we got to talk. I said, he said it's the second most wet month on record in the state of Georgia this month. So they are flipping busy. I said, well, that's crazy. He goes, the second most wet month. And he goes, what happens is we're insanely busy because of all the destruction, because it's been rain like monsoon season here in Vietnam, like it's been in Georgia, the second wettest winter on record in the state. And so their foundation, he said the foundation companies are loving life because they have to fix all these foundations, lots of leaks coming in. But he goes, the one thing I tell you, Josh, he goes, make sure if you have your HVAC unit up in your attic, which we do have one, he goes, not only do you change the filters, but make sure you get the condensation lines cleaned out, blown out or something like that. And I said, is that something you could do, kind of on your own? Because, change the filters, you can do that blindfolded. He goes, no, you definitely want to get a professional and do that. So he goes, once a year, get your HVAC units just like an oil check, essentially. They'll obviously change the filter for you, but they'll clean out the condensation lines, because that's the biggest issue I've seen in as many years of doing adjustments, is the HVAC units in your attic. Because what happens is you get a burst pipe or something like that, or the condensation builds up and something happens and it drips, on the attic. And what does it do? It drips downstairs, right on top of somebody's big fat face while they're trying to sleep. So it goes, make sure you adjust or get your HVAC unit service every year. And it might cost $80 a pop or something like that, because that would be one of the best preventive maintenance things you can do to get the condensation lines cleaned out. So I don't know how to do it. I'll probably look on YouTube and watch somebody do it, and then I'll still hire somebody to do it professionally for sure. So that's number one. And then number two, he said, look, he changes his toilets every 5 years or so, because you got all the various, the various units, the valves, the various, not the washers. I'm drawing a blank with the rubber thing that you push. I forgot what it's called, but he said the rubber, anyway, the washer, essentially the rubber washer thing. He goes, it gets malleable. So like in Georgia, you get hot weather, you got cold weather, you got hot weather and cold weather. The rubber is going to expand, it's going to condense, it's going to do all that stuff. He goes, that stuff it's certainly going to chip and crack. And when you just get a little leak in there, you got water running through your home, that could cause a big issue. And so he said, make sure you change your toilets, make sure you change your valves, make sure you change your little washers, and do all that, because it's just going to cause leak. And water damage in homes is one of the biggest things of what happens with it when it comes to just home repairs for absolutely water damage. And I said, man, we should go back to the old days of just using an outhouse. Anyway, so they're working on a house. He said, I can't remember what he was telling me about. There's like some kind of Frank Lloyd Wright house that he was working on or something like that. He said this built in like 1948. And what they did is they put all the boilers, the hot water units and all that, like 2 feet down below in a concrete pit, essentially. He said, so that way, if anything starts breaking and we got some leaks, it'll go directly to the concrete, the little foundation, the room essentially, and then it's gonna be flushed out. He goes, man, that's what they should do. It's not cheap, but that's what he's using it in conjunction with putting the HVAC units in the attic right above your sleeping area. And he goes, the problem with that, of course, is just cheaper to do that than to build this like little 2-foot unit downstairs where you're just digging out for 2 feet and you're putting in concrete slabs. I said, man, that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously they're not gonna be able to do that if they're putting up houses one after the other, cookie cutter houses, but it's pretty interesting. So that's what I've learned here. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of what the fix is going to be, how much I have no idea. It doesn't look like a huge issue. But I mean, again, hopefully the leak has stopped. It looks like it did. I mean, I checked under the sink and I don't know why the little thing, the gasket, that's what it's called. I don't know why the gasket fell off. But it definitely did. And I go back in there and put it on there, and hopefully that stops. It looks like it's not leaking anymore. But if you got these rubber gaskets and stuff, and just, we've been in this house for 6 years, stuff's bound to break. If it bounds to break around water, it can be a world of hurt for sure. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And so that's why I'll stay with USAA, because I'm telling you right now, I got a call within 10 minutes of hanging up. The problem is when you got 2 teenage girl drivers, you got 2 adults, and I got 2 boys coming up. Insurance ain't cheap. No other way around that. It is expensive for sure. Then, we got a pretty big house here. We got to insure as well. We just filed a claim last year. And I don't even keep track. I just pay the stupid bill at this stage. I don't even keep track. I used to have, when I was back in business as a stockbroker, and part of these networking in this units where we kind of, hey, I want to meet your friend, you meet my friend, whatnot. I'd have these State Farm guys always, hey, I want to solicit your business. And I'd say I was with USAA, and they'd say, it's not worth it. They can never beat USAA. I don't think that's the same case anymore. I think USAA is probably not on the as cheap side as it used to be. In fact, I know for a fact that some people are paying more for USAA than they could for other firms for sure. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the claim is going to be. There's no other way around that. And that is funny too with folks who moved down to Florida. I don't know if this is still the case, but in Florida, they used to have, and they probably still do this thing called Citizens Corp, and that would be the essentially the almost like the Medicare Advantage version of Florida's homeowners insurance. Is kind of like financed through the government, but it's a private corporation, and USAA couldn't compete. No one could compete with it because it's government funded and mandated and whatnot. And so USAA wouldn't be there. And I remember hearing all these guys retirees from military would go to Florida and they couldn't get USA insurance. They'd be mad. They'd be like, what? I said, look, USA can't compete. Because the problem is you got all these hurricanes that go through there, and the Citizen Corp, if that's what it's called, they didn't have enough staying power to pay for all that stuff. The damages potential that's coming down the pike to people in Florida, that company, even Rick Scott, when he's governor, he even said, like, we can't, this is just one big hurricane is going to break the bank. And so USA didn't want to touch that. And I remember people getting mad at USA. And he's like, why should we insure you if you're going to live on the beach in a tornado alley or hurricane alley? That doesn't make sense. And now I don't live on the beach. I'm in North Georgia near Atlanta. So this is a lot more reasonable for insurance. But there are places that USA can't touch because they just can't afford the premiums. I think like in Delaware, they can't afford the risk. And I think like in Delaware is the same thing. I remember I had a guy who moved from New Jersey to Delaware, or maybe Pennsylvania to Delaware, and he couldn't get homeowners with USAA either, simply because USA wasn't covering like the whole state of Delaware. So I can't remember the whole thing, but it was along the water there. And I don't know if that's still the same thing. I think they grandfathered you if you had already been there, but I don't know how that changes. Anyway, the point of this is not to make you a sales pitch for USA. I just don't care. The point is though, it's never a bad idea if you are moving from Delaware to, I don't know, Midland, Texas or something like that, to revisit USA if you qualify, just to see what they can do for you. Because I'm telling you, having worked there for 10 years, 4 generations, I've heard so many positive stories on USA when they have to actually file a claim as opposed to premiums. Lastly, I used to do these seminars, me and this guy, and I'm going to try to get him on my YouTube channel. He's a West Point guy, so don't hold that against him. But we used to do these seminars all up and down the East Coast. It was crazy. It was nuts. We'd go all over the place, and we'd get people come out, and they all said that they'd tell you, I'll never leave USA because this happened. And when this happened, they filed a claim. They paid for me. My wife lost her wedding ring when we were in Dresden, Germany, and USA made us right. I mean, I'm just pulling that. I don't know. But stuff, you'd hear that so many times a Sunday. When it came time for USA to show up, they did, and they did it without, and I mean, not like a blank check. I mean, USA is not stupid. They got to make sure they're making a profit. But I heard that so many times with USAA that just made you feel good that you knew the company's going to take care of those who've been paying for them. And so for me, having paid premiums to them since 1989, and here it is 2019, and only having one claim on a home, and I had a couple of issues with maybe 2 claims on cars, and they actually saved me a boatload of money too. Because I'll never forget when I just got out of the Army, I had, when you separate from service, you never use all your leave, so you get I had like $7,000 cash money, and I went to USAA. I was going to go buy this crappy old Nissan Pathfinder because you're 22 years old. You're like, this Pathfinder is cool, from some shyster guy selling it, from a used dealership. And I was like, oh man, he's going to charge me. It's like, good. He's, nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And you say, we're not going to finance that car, or not. We're not going to, I can't remember what they said. They said, we're not going to do it. And I said, why? He says, it's my money. I should be able to do it. And he said, we're not going to do it for you. And then she goes, here's why, because he's ripping you off. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that lady telling me that he's ripping you off. And I said, what? He goes, look, you can find that same car for, $3,000 less, man. So let's just put it this way. I did not buy the car from him, and I walked away, and that guy was pissed. And how he reacted, basically said, don't ever come back here, man. I said, oh, okay. So how he reacted, I knew that USA saved me from some doing bad stuff for sure. So I appreciate that for sure. And I rag on USA a lot. I think their portfolio management tools, our portfolio management services are bad. It's way, way too expensive. I do like that robo-advisor they have. But when it comes to actually insurance, which is what USA is, an insurance company, a bunch of officers got together in 1922. They could not get insurance from a regular insurance because they're PCSing, permanent change of station. So if they're going from, Fort Stewart, Georgia, to Fort Lewis, Washington, I don't even know if they're back there. They have those forts, or going overseas. A lot of times, insurance company says, we can't track you down. We can't make the payments. We can't cover you when you're being reassigned to Germany, whatnot. So we're going to drop you. So all these officers got together, like 20 of them, and they said, we'll self-insure each other. And that's the story behind USAA. And so all these officers got together, then more officers joined, And obviously they got more than just officers in there now, but still, at the end of the day, that's how it started. They self-insured each other, and they're still basically self-insuring each other, not just the officer corps, but they're insuring infantrymen or enlisted men on top of family members of people who served as well, who got an honorable discharge. And because of that, it's still essentially a self-insurance. I mean, there is a company called USAA, but as a mutual company, you have to be part of an affiliation, a fraternal organization. It's not really that, but similar to that. We have to be part of this in which you can join, become a member. And so because of that, I'm insuring you and you're insuring me. And so we got to take care of each other to make sure, A, that you're not, I hate to say it, but you're not taking advantage of the system, and B, that they're filing claims that are appropriate. And so there's always insurance. There's always going to be fraud, always going to be people trying to take advantage of the system. But by and large, the reason why USA is so successful is because there's an honorable group of people. Started with the officer corps. It went down enlisted. Yeah, everyone says enlisted. There are always drunken sailors and insane infantrymen. I get that. But generally speaking, if you get out of the military with an honorable discharge, you're probably going to be an okay person. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, you might drive fast cars. I get that. You might blow some money as a newly minted E5 and got a re-up bonus of $10,000. You might have some DWIs under your belt, but USA is going to charge you that. They're going to charge for all that stuff. They don't just say, "Hey, we appreciate your service. We're only going to charge you $100 a month for a 22-year-old guy who just got his first Camaro and now he's got DWI." They're not going to do that. They're going to price it accordingly to the risk. They do that. And now the problem here is when I file this claim, which would be my second claim in 2 years, if I end up filing, they're going to price according to the risk too. They're going to say, Josh, old Josh buddy, old pal. Do we have to worry about you going forward? In fact, I don't know. Hopefully not. But, only God knows. So we'll see. So actually, I'm going to go on here and see if I have any questions, because I do see, there might be some people ask questions. I didn't actually type into the question thing. While I'm live, let's see if anyone's asking questions. So bear with me just a second, my friends. Let's click this guy on. And I know it's Saturday night. Let's see. All right, so let's see if anyone's asking questions here. And I know that you probably say, "Why is Josh getting on here?" Well, I just figured I'll be yapping. Well, I got a second to yap to talk about the insurance and USA and some ideas on. So where's the thing here? I don't know how I go to. I always forgot to do this. I got to go to the. There we go. I cannot comment as filing claims because we haven't filed one over 10 years, says Corey. All right, there we go. There we go. Hello, USA, for people who served our country. My investment journey. They are great playing claims. I work with them all the time at the law firm, says Lydia Santiago. Right on, Lydia. Had them for 30 years as my man Bruce. Never had an issue. They paid me twice for some car damage. Once car hit by a crack. 6 months later by DWI. Seals, I don't know. USA could never compete with my local broker. Not yet. We recently changed our homeowners insurance and checking a new service for our car insurance. Topics of some of my first YouTube videos to come. Right, my man Corey's going to start doing some YouTube videos. Hey, just along those lines, I want to say real quick is that I got actually a lot of good feedback on my thing where I was saying you should go. Instead of hiring a financial advisor, be one. And a lot of people are commenting on that they're thinking about it, taking courses and whatnot. I think it's great. And start a YouTube channel. Everyone has different perspectives. So Corey said he's going to start a YouTube channel. I got, more power to you. The more good info out there, the better off the community as a whole is going to be. So I hope you do that for sure. Annette says, great channel. Thanks, Annette. I cannot comment. Okay. We had USA for home and auto for several years until a couple years ago. Great customer service. Only had to leave when the price was 2 times more than the competition. Yeah, that's what my man Scott. Scott, I completely agree. Along those lines, and again, I'm here to give my honest opinion. I had a lady I know very, very well who's an expert in property and casualty, and she knows property and casualty. She left USAA to go to State Farm simply because she knows exactly what she's getting priced for. Now, again, that is on price. It's not for claims. So my hope is that she gets filed a claim quickly if she ever needs to. But she's an expert on this stuff. And she compared them because USA couldn't hold a candle to State Farm. And she's still an employee there as well at USAA. But again, that's on price versus claims, and so that's the issue you're gonna have to contend with. They claim that you're saving over $1,000 because I'm a veteran, but it's essentially one of the prerequisites. Like my neighbor can get it. Yeah, like the video on person with 150,000. Yeah, right on, Monty. I tell you. So that's I got something else coming out with my folks who are thinking about leaving Maryland. Thought they had to leave Maryland. I'm gonna do some videos on that too here probably tomorrow. I was gonna do it today until the world hits you for sure. And then tomorrow I'm going to do one. My man, speaking of my man Rich, the guy who's do videos or seminars with, he sent me an illustration on long-term care with life insurance. All right, life insurance with long-term care, and I can't wait to show you that illustration. It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned there. So we're going to do a couple videos tomorrow. It's going to be on life insurance using with a long-term care accelerated death benefit. It's fantastic. I mean, not necessarily fantastic for you, but it's going to be very informative. I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of those kind of policies. And then I'm going to do some on my I forgot the names of the people. Obviously, these are names to protect the innocent, not necessarily the real names. But I'm going to do some on these folks who think they had to leave Maryland, and we're going to do the whole thing using my Right Capital software as well. Lastly, I just want to be yapping here because I'm yappy. One of these days, I'm thinking about just offering up that software, that Right Capital, for like $150 and doing like monthly tutorials on that or something like that. I haven't quite got it yet. But I get a lot of people ask me about that software. Now, like I'm thinking about doing like a class on that or something like that, where I say, hey, all right. Okay, good. So we don't have a huge people watching here tonight because it's Saturday night. People are out partying. I don't party anymore. Those days are well behind me. And so my thought process is, $150, you get the software. We'll do like a month tutorial thing. I'm not going to talk to you individually unless you want to pay me for that, which we can talk about later on. But you have access to the software and just go on there and do whatever you want with it. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then we'll, like I said, do monthly tutorials. And if you do want me to look at your stuff, you'll have to pay more money to me specifically. I don't know, $500. I have no idea. Haven't thought that far through. But anyway, all right. I'll just got back from partying. Oh man, whatever you do, don't drink. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Don't drink. What's the hold on just a second. I could not believe it. If I saw this, hold on. I'm looking at my man instapundit.com, and this is where Instapundit is a libertarian college law professor at University of Tennessee, and oh man, some alcoholic right there. Johnny Walker. Whatever you do, don't drink Johnny Walker. They did a thing. Johnny Walker stepping on a rake for the Women's March. It's just for the love of me. They're going out whiskey. Yep. Johnny Walker. They're apparently sponsoring the Women's March with all these anti-Semite people on there that are just not good people. No other way around that. And the fact that they're supporting it is very frustrating. So I'll leave that political content for other days. But I chuckle because my man Scott just got back from partying. Hey, drink Jack Daniels. That's Tennessee made. Tennessee. I guess Tennessee brew. I don't even know what it's like, but pizza and wings, right on, man. Yep, that's me, pizza and wings, right? All right, so I will let you know about as we progress on this thing with the software that we use. Right Capital, like I said, has just updated their tax forms, which is flipping awesome. I'll do some videos on that starting tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I'm looking forward to that. And then Smirnoff, you know what they got, Monty, down in Texas? Shinerbach. I remember I had my first Shinerbach back in a long time ago, and I didn't like it. And I remember, but that was brewed and made in Texas. I think maybe Fredericksburg, Texas, if you did not know. But still, one of my favorite beers of all time was a Yingling Black and Tan, and Yingling up in PA. All right, and so Yingling was I think before Prohibition. Then during Prohibition, they went to other non-alcoholic. Shinerbach never did it for me. Then Yingling stayed in business from doing non-alcoholic stuff. And then when they got rid of Prohibition, Yingling was back, which is pretty cool. Yep, Fort Hood. Yeah. And so it's good stuff. All right, guys, we'll let you guys get back to bigger and better things. And don't forget, go Patriots. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks now. Or I see you not live tomorrow, but see you in a video I do tomorrow. See you guys. Bye-bye. Hey, Salma.